Thank you again to Hunter Tools and Thompson Tools for being a sponsor for my YouTube channel.
Welcome to my shop again. Neighbor was taking down a cottage on the lake and building a bigger home, and he had to take a couple trees out, and one of them was a white birch root burl. And so we made this little bowl that I intend to give to him. Very challenging, had a number of voids in it, and I wanted to make this shape wrapping around here so that it would capture in the top of the bowl, it would capture the color and the character of the burl. One of the things that's happening that since I have thousands of people that are viewing my little clips, some of you have made comments. I appreciate that. I welcome that. I've tried to answer all of them. But one of the things that's happened is that there are, out of the thousands, there are one or two that sometimes will put a thumbs down. And I'm puzzled at what you people that might do that, what you're disappointed in. If it's something that I said, if it's that the topic doesn't match what you thought it was going to be, I'm just wondering. I sure would like to learn from my mistakes if there's something I can do to improve. So if you choose to do a thumbs down, I would hope that you could put a comment in and let me know what you're unhappy with. That would be great. It would be helpful to me. So appreciate your help on that. Okay, I had a great pleasure of coming across some white birch root burl, and it's got some really nice figure in it, and we're going to do a bowl and try to do some things that might capture this in the top part of the bowl. I'm going to make a little different shaped bowl than usual because of the character of the wood. So let's get started. We're going to put it between centers and find the perfect axis and orientation for this to capture this burl character. I always start between centers. I always start on the balance point. I'm not too concerned at this point right now about the orientation, but I am concerned about the weight. I want to make sure that I'm on the balance point. So I want to lift it up. See how the weight goes down to the bottom? I want to lift it up so that it's on the balance point so that I can get the speed of the lathe up. So we're going to just take it in small increments here. Well, look at there. I already got it. Okay, one time I moved it and it's good. Wherever I put it, it stays. So I'm on the balance point. Now that I've got the balance point, and one of the main reasons for getting on the balance point is to get the speed of the lathe up. So I put the tool rest very close so I know where it is, because it's just going to be a blur. I know where the wood is, and I'm going to turn the speed up. Ramp the speed up. What was that? Piece of bark? Faster I go, the easier it's going to be. Okay, now I just want to rough this out and see what's there. Give me some information during the roughing process. Okay, I want to stop often and see what's happening. Watch the character develop of where the largest diameter of my bowl is going to be. Oh, sharp tools are fun. Now I've tilted this so that I have this top chainsaw cut is pretty perpendicular to the bed of the lathe, and this is probably going to be close to the axis for the top of my bowl here. But I want to give myself more information while I'm still in the roughing out stage. I'm going to open this up a little bit to give me the shape. All right, now we're going to prepare for the glue block. I don't want to put screws in here because I'd have to waste some of this nice burl away. And I don't want to use a chuck because that's not a very strong method, especially when I'm going to, on the inside of this vessel, even though it's a bowl, I'm going to have to use my boring bar to undercut that shoulder. So I'm going to use a glue block method, clean this up and get ready to glue. The new robust live center has a new feature with a post on the other end of the center pin that's pointed on one end and flat on the other end. So I'm going to use this flat to realign my bowl when I reverse chuck it. So I'm going to prepare for this. This is a 3/8 inch pin, and I'm going to make a 3/8 inch very shallow hole in the bottom of my bowl with a 3/8 inch drill. So hopefully I can do this gently. I don't want to make a big hole in here, just enough so that live center will shoulder in there and give me a reverse accuracy when I reverse it. All right, have the glue block on. I'm ready to finish the final outside shape. I don't need the tailstock anymore, so we're going to use this really cool feature here from Robust just to get rid of it. And it's just so light and easy. Just get it out of the way and forget about it. All right, and we're going to put the bowl on and start to clean up the outside. Okay, now I've got this outside shape defined. I'm going to clean it up so I don't have to sand much. So I'm going to lower my handle, get my handle way down, and shear scrape. I'm going to close the flute, and you're going to look right down the flute with me on the camera angle. It's really nice that we have here. And very delicately, we're just going to, little tiny angel hair, we're going to clean up this surface so I don't have to sand. Okay, still with my handle down. We moved to the top quadrant of the vessel now. We're just going to clean this all up and meld it into the bottom part. I'm doing two things with shear scraping. One, I'm taking all the little fuzz from the torn out grain away that it might have been from my hogging off cuts, but I'm refining the shape. I'm taking any little bumps and humps and flat spots out at the same time. Okay, now that I got the outside all nice and cleaned up and shaped, we're going to get the inside out. My first hogging off is going to go straight in and get the mass of the middle away. That should happen pretty quick and easy with just a push cut right into the side of the tree. Okay, even though we've been calling this a bowl, it's actually, in my terminology, going to be a hollow form because I can't reach it with a bevel-supported bowl cut. I can't undercut the shoulder and get into the bottom because the shaft of the bowl gouge will start to hit the enclosed rim. So even though it looks like a bowl, it's not, in my terminology, is a bowl. It's a hollow form, and so we've set up the boring bar system to be able to hollow in there, and I'm going to use the laser assisted guide to help measure the wall thickness. So this is going to go quick and easy with the boring bar. Now I've got the bulk of the wood out of the middle, and I'm going to start to undercut this shoulder, and that's one of the rules of the carbide, is to get the waste wood out from behind. And now I can swing my handle over and I can pull the carbide towards me and get up into this shoulder. And now I'm going to start to undercut the shoulder on the inside and measure the wall. So I'm going to use the laser. We're going to use the long line of the laser to line it up with the area I'm going to be hollowing. And then I'm going to bring it over to the cutter. And we're going to set the laser so that the gap is on the arrow, which is 90 degrees through the wall. I'm going to leave this, maybe 3/16, quarter-inch thick because of the voids and softer wood of the birch, that I'm not going to go too thin with this. And the swiveled around so that when I'm cutting, I'm going to undercut the shoulder and measure this wall thickness right here. While the laser's inside the vessel, it's a dot. And then when it comes over the side, when the laser disappears, we're going to stop. Got to get some of the waste wood out of there first.
I'm going to quickly go through this hollowing sequence. Watching hollowing inside of a hollow form is like watching grass grow. Nothing too exciting. The process here: just make the laser disappear, get the waste wood out from behind, make the laser disappear, measure, then clean up the tool marks from behind. And once you get done with one stage, we're going to move on to the next stage, and we have to reset the laser and keep the gap perpendicular to the wall. Reset the laser again. We move the cutter and the orientation and the laser to keep the gap perpendicular to the wall. And then we'll hog off some inside.
My goal here, what I'm doing now, is trying to clean up that surface. Make sure that the surface is clean and I don't have too much in it before I move on to the next stage.
Okay, we just repeat this same sequence. Hog off in the middle, get the waste wood out of the way, then make the laser disappear, measure, then clean up the tool marks and clean it up to the previous stage, and don't go back.
I get around the bottom, I got to change that angle to here.
Set the gap perpendicular through the wall in the bottom. This is an area down here that sometimes is pretty difficult to reach with traditional calipers. So the laser makes this easy. You just set the laser with a gap and then trust it. When the gap disappears, you stop cutting.
I'm going to reset my laser with no gap. And then I'll know exactly where my depth is. I'm going to watch the laser coming across the shape of the bottom and up the side. Okay, we got the inside all done, and we've got it off the glue block. Now we're going to reverse it. Remember the little drill hole that I started with? Now that fits the same little tenon pin that Robust has on it. So I'm going to friction drive. I'm going to put a pad in here, so a paper first, and then a piece of leather, so that I'm going to drive with the glue block and hold it with a new little drill hole and tenon, and see how tight I have to tighten it. We're going to have 3 pencil lines on here. The first line on here was the first one that I made while I was inside the vessel with the laser and no gap. I know that that is the inside of my bowl, right? I need a wall thickness, so I'm going to have a wall thickness, about 3/16 of an inch or so, okay? And then I'll have another line where it's going to sit on the table. I have a third line there that's going to give me my table height. So now the first thing I'm going to do is take it down to the third line where my table height is. Okay, so I'm going to do a push cut again. We're going to take small cuts and slowly, so that I don't stop the wood and spin it on my friction drive pad. Now this is going to be an option to the owner if this is going to be a functional bowl, if they want to use it, or if they want to just put it on display because it's going to be a pretty piece. So if it is functional, I'm going to leave the foot a little bit bigger than I would normally, because it's an open bowl, and the larger foot going to sit on the table with more stability. Put a banana in a bowl with a small foot and it'll tip the bowl over. So just going to clean up the outside contour. Shear scrape that side into the existing wall. Alright, so now the outside is cleaned up. Well, I'm going to go back underneath the foot now and finish this bottom, and make sure that this is a little bit concave. And I'm going to lower my handle and I'm going to shear scrape this. Get that cleaned up. I always like to do a little bit of a detail in here just to show that the bottom's been turned. Okay, with the spindle gouge, because it has a little steeper angle to it, I can just make a little bit of a detail here. I'm just going to roll a little tiny bead thing on the rim, come down, and then clean it up on the inside. Now the flute's pointing almost straight towards the wood, or the tip of the angle is almost straight up and down. Finish my little concave surface down in here. And now I can sand that bottom when it dries out and be done.
This piece had a lot of voids in it and natural edges, so you could not sand it on the lathe. I used a very soft, big 5-inch disc pad on my drill press. And notice here I'm going north-south and then east-west, sideways. That's a good way to clean it up. Well, here we go. It's all done. Turned out nicely. Has some voids and some bark inclusions. Rim rolled over, captured the burl character nicely. You can still see inside where the burl is through the wide mouth opening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time.